Freedom lasted only 6 months. Pooh Shiesty walked out of federal prison in October 2025 after serving 3 years, ready to reclaim his spot in hip-hop. But instead of a comeback story, he's now facing life in prison for allegedly kidnapping the man who made him famous, Gucci Mane. Surveillance footage captured the entire incident, showing what prosecutors call an armed takeover over a $25 million contract dispute. The rapper, who once had everything, is now behind bars again, this time accused of holding his own mentor at gunpoint. This is the shocking story of how Pooh Shiesty's freedom crumbled in just 90 days. The early release that shocked hip-hop. On October 6, 2025, Pooh Shiesty was released from federal prison after serving about 3 years of a 5-year sentence for firearms conspiracy charges. His early release came through good behavior credits under the First Step Act, surprising many who expected him to serve the full term. The moment he got out, social media lit up. Photos showed him dressed in designer clothes, wearing diamond jewelry, and standing with fellow Memphis artists. Fans quickly shifted from the long-running hashtag #FreePoohShiesty to hashtag #WelcomeHomePooh, celebrating his return. His lawyer expressed confidence that he had learned from the experience and would come back stronger. However, his freedom came with strict rules. He had to avoid drugs, take regular tests, report to a probation officer, and remain on home confinement with an ankle monitor until April 2026. Every move was being watched, and even small mistakes could send him back to prison. At first, things seemed to be going well. He stayed active online, reconnected with family, and avoided trouble. In December 2025, he released his comeback single FDO, First Day Out, which debuted at 22 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song reflected on his time in prison and showed his focus on staying free and rebuilding his career. It was well received and opportunities started coming in again. He was reportedly living in Texas, away from Memphis, trying to distance himself from past influences. Many saw this as a smart move and believed he was on the right path, but signs of trouble soon appeared. A live stream clip went viral showing his probation officer calling him for not being home, raising concerns about whether he was taking his restrictions seriously. At the same time, tension began growing between him and Gucci Mane, the mentor who helped launch his career. After years in prison, frustration and resentment had built up, and it was starting to show. The $25 million contract dispute. While Pooh Shiesty was in prison from 2022 to 2025, his music was still making huge money. Songs like Back in Blood kept getting millions of streams across platforms, while his project Shiesty Season stayed popular on the radio and social media. His music was also used in videos, shows, and ads. The issue was that most of this money didn't go to him. It went to his label, 1017 Records, led by Gucci Mane. Reports claimed that around $25 million was generated from Pooh Shiesty's music during his time in prison. For him, this number became a major source of anger. While he was locked in a cell, his work was building wealth he couldn't access or control. To be fair, this is how the music industry usually works. When new artists sign deals, labels often own the music and collect most of the revenue first. They recover their costs for production, promotion, and marketing before the artist sees major profit. It's a system built on risk. Labels invest big money up front, hoping the artist succeeds. But from Pooh's point of view, the situation felt different. He was in prison, watching his success grow without benefiting from it. Over time, that frustration turned into resentment. Things got worse in 2024 when reports said Gucci Mane released most artists from his 1017 label, except Pooh Shiesty and one other artist. To Pooh, this felt like betrayal. He believed that someone he saw as a mentor should have supported him more during his sentence, whether financially or personally. When he got out in October 2025, one of his main goals was to understand his contract. He wanted clear answers: how much money had been made, where it went, and whether he could renegotiate or leave the deal. But those talks didn't go well. Gucci Mane refused to release him from the contract without major compensation. From Gucci's side, he had invested heavily in Pooh early on, helped build his career, and felt he deserved loyalty in return. To him, the deal was fair and legally binding. As time passed, the situation became more tense. Calls and messages turned into arguments. Lawyers got involved, but nothing changed. Publicly, things seemed calm. Pooh even mentioned in an interview that Gucci supported his comeback music, but behind the scenes, their relationship was falling apart. People from the industry tried to step in and fix things, suggesting compromises or new deal terms, but neither side was willing to give in. Pooh felt trapped and Gucci felt disrespected. By early 2026, the tension had reached a breaking point and it was about to explode. The Dallas recording studio incident. On January 10th, 2026, Gucci Mane traveled to Dallas with two others for what they believed was a normal business meeting. The goal was simple: discuss Pooh Shiesty's contract with 1017 Records and possibly resolve ongoing issues. But according to federal prosecutors, things quickly took a dark turn. Authorities claimed the meeting was set up by Pooh Shiesty himself. Once everyone was inside the recording studio, the situation allegedly became violent and controlled. Prosecutors say this wasn't a sudden argument, it was planned. According to an FBI affidavit, Pooh Shiesty asked to speak privately, then pulled out contract papers and forced Gucci Mane to sign while showing what appeared to be a weapon. What started as a contract discussion allegedly turned into an armed robbery. Prosecutors claim valuables were taken, including jewelry, watches, and cash. Other people in the room were also reportedly threatened. Some were held back from leaving, and one person was nearly choked unconscious. The victims were trapped and unable to escape, turning what should have been a professional meeting into a frightening situation. Investigators later built a strong case using multiple pieces of evidence. Surveillance footage showed people entering and leaving the building, including someone bringing in a bag that allegedly carried a weapon. More importantly, Pooh Shiesty was on home confinement at the time and did not have permission to travel. His ankle monitor reportedly placed him at the scene, showing he had left his approved area. Authorities also used license plate data, rental records, fingerprints, and witness statements to connect everyone involved. What made the situation worse was how much was at stake. Pooh Shiesty had only been out of prison for a few months. His music career was picking up again, and he had a second chance to rebuild his life. Instead, prosecutors say he risked everything over a contract dispute that could have been handled legally. With so much digital tracking and surveillance today, investigators had little difficulty putting the case together. By the time authorities stepped in, the damage had already been done. The arrests and initial court appearances. The arrests came fast and coordinated. On April 2nd, 2026, 8 of 9 defendants were arrested by federal authorities in connection with the alleged kidnapping and armed robbery at the Dallas music studio. Federal agents don't move slowly once they have their evidence compiled. They conducted simultaneous raids across multiple cities to ensure no one could flee or destroy evidence. Pooh Shiesty was taken into custody in Dallas, where he was still living in violation of his home confinement. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., was arrested at his home in Memphis. Big 30 and several others were rounded up across Tennessee and Texas in carefully coordinated operations. The FBI arrested Terrence Rogers in Atlanta, marking the final suspect charged in the case. The federal government had been building this case for months, waiting for the right moment to move. The charges were absolutely devastating. All 9 defendants are charged with conspiracy to commit kidnapping, which carries a potential sentence of life in prison. Life in prison. Let that sink in. For a 26-year-old rapper who was supposed to be making a comeback, who had everything to live for, he now faced the possibility of dying behind bars. U.S. Attorney Ryan Raybould for the Northern District of Texas said in a statement, 9 defendants traveled to Dallas, Texas to kidnap and rob victims who thought they were coming into town for a business meeting. Instead of discussing business civilly, the defendants resorted to violence and intimidation to achieve their purported business objectives. The statement was harsh and unambiguous. Prosecutors weren't treating this as a simple dispute between artists, they were treating it as serious organized crime. The news spread through hip-hop like wildfire. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from shock to disbelief. Fans who had celebrated Pooh Shiesty's release just 6 months earlier were now mourning what appeared to be the destruction of his life and career. Fellow rappers posted cryptic messages about loyalty, betrayal, and the streets. Music blogs published think pieces about what went wrong and how the industry failed another young artist. On April 8, 2026, Pooh Shiesty appeared in federal court for his bond hearing. He wore an orange jumpsuit, his hands shackled, looking tired and defeated. His legal team argued passionately for house arrest, pointing to his early prison release, his cooperation during his previous case, and his young age. They painted him as someone who made a terrible decision in a moment of desperation, not a career criminal who deserved to be locked up indefinitely while awaiting trial. But federal prosecutors told a very different story. They highlighted his violation of home detention, the severity of the alleged crimes, the extensive planning involved, and the danger he posed to the community. U.S. Magistrate Judge Renee Harris Tolliver told Pooh Shiesty during the hearing, "I find that the weight of the evidence against you is strong." The judge's words were measured but clear. The government had a solid case. The judge determined Williams qualified for detention because the charges involved the alleged use of a firearm and carry a potential sentence of life in prison, and found that he posed a flight risk. Bond denied. Pooh Shiesty would remain in custody at Kaufman County Jail in Texas while awaiting trial. His family members in the courtroom broke down crying. His mother covered her face with her hands. The reality of what he'd done was setting in. In separate hearings, Pooh Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., was given a $250,000 bond, while Big 30 received house arrest with $100,000 bail. The different outcomes reflected the varying degrees of alleged involvement. But Pooh, identified by prosecutors as the ringleader who orchestrated the entire scheme, received the harshest treatment. He stayed locked up. The contrast couldn't have been starker. 6 months ago, Pooh Shiesty walked out of federal prison a free man, supposedly reformed and ready for a second chance. Now he sat in a Texas county jail facing charges that could put him away forever. The comeback that everyone had hoped for had turned into one of the biggest disasters in recent hip-hop history. The defense strategy and prosecution's case. Pooh Shiesty's attorney, Bradford Cohen, immediately began mounting an aggressive defense, poking holes in the prosecution's narrative and challenging the government's evidence. The FBI doesn't take 3 months to arrest someone if they believe everything that was said, Cohen said. There is no contract, this mystery contract. They have no contract. They have no video of this alleged signing of a contract. They have no guns. They have no jewelry. They have none of that physical evidence. Cohen's arguments raised legitimate questions that any good defense attorney would pursue. If this were such a clear-cut kidnapping and armed robbery, where was the physical evidence? Where was the contract that was allegedly signed at gunpoint? Surely if Gucci Mane was forced to sign something, that document would be crucial evidence. Where were the weapons that were allegedly brandished? Where was the stolen jewelry worth tens of thousands of dollars? Where were the Rolex watches, and cash that were supposedly taken from the victims. The defense theory suggested that what really happened was a heated business dispute that got out of hand, not a premeditated kidnapping plot. Maybe voices were raised. Maybe the confrontation became physical. Maybe threats were made in the heat of the moment. But kidnapping, armed robbery, life in prison? The defense argued the government was overcharging and exaggerating what actually occurred. Defense attorney Drew Horn, representing Big 30, told media that clearly there was a situation between Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane, but insisted his client only went to the studio to make music with Pooh after waiting for him to get out of prison. Horn argued that Big 30 did not know any kidnapping plan. He was just a friend and fellow artist who showed up to record music, not to participate in a violent crime. The defense pointed to the 3-month delay between the alleged incident in January and the arrest in April. Why did investigators wait so long if they had such strong evidence? Cohen suggested the delay indicated that witness statements were very questionable and that investigators had doubts about what really happened inside that recording studio. But federal prosecutors had a different explanation for the timing. They were conducting a thorough investigation, gathering evidence methodically, tracking down every witness, analyzing surveillance footage, pulling phone records, examining financial transactions, and building an airtight case. Federal prosecutors don't rush. They take their time and make sure everything is documented and verified before filing charges, and the evidence they compiled was extensive. While the defense claimed there was no physical evidence, prosecutors had something arguably more powerful in the modern age: digital evidence. The surveillance footage from multiple cameras showed the defendants entering the building. License plate readers tracked their vehicles traveling from Memphis to Dallas. Cell phone tower data placed all the defendants in the area at the time of the incident. Rental car records tied specific individuals to specific vehicles. Most damning of all was Pooh Shiesty's ankle monitor data. Prosecutors said they have data from his ankle monitor that places him at the studio in violation of his home detention. That's not something you can argue away. The electronic monitoring device doesn't lie. It tracked his every movement and proved definitively that he violated his release conditions by traveling to Dallas when he was supposed to be confined to his approved residence in North Texas. The prosecution also had witness testimony from the 3 alleged victims. While the defense might claim those statements were questionable, it's hard to imagine 3 separate victims all fabricating the same story about being held at gunpoint and robbed. Their accounts would be compared, cross-referenced, and examined for consistency. Any discrepancies would certainly be exploited by the defense, but the core narrative from multiple witnesses telling the same story is powerful evidence. Additionally, prosecutors likely had communication records, text messages, phone calls, possibly even social media messages showing the planning and coordination involved. In the digital age, criminals leave trails everywhere. Investigators can pull deleted texts, recover disappeared messages, and track communications across multiple platforms. If there was any discussion about the plan beforehand, federal investigators likely found it. The case highlighted a broader issue in hip-hop: the difficulty many artists have separating their street credibility from their business dealings. Pooh Shiesty came from the streets of Memphis, where disputes are often settled with violence rather than lawyers. But once you enter the legitimate music business, sign contracts, and make millions of dollars, you can't operate by street rules anymore. You have to handle disputes through legal channels, no matter how frustrating or unfair those disputes might seem. Many in the hip-hop community sympathize with Pooh Shiesty's frustration over the contract. Record labels have a long history of exploiting artists, particularly young black artists who don't fully understand what they're signing. Stories of artists signing away their rights for pennies on the dollar are legendary in the industry. From Little Richard to TLC To countless modern artists, the pattern repeats itself. But sympathy for his contract dispute doesn't excuse what prosecutors allege happened. If Pooh Shiesty believed his contract was unfair, he had legal remedies available. He could have hired entertainment lawyers to review the contract and look for ways to renegotiate or void it. He could have filed a lawsuit claiming the contract was unconscionable or signed under duress. He could have negotiated a buyout amount. Those options might have taken time and money, but they were available. Instead, if the allegations are true, he chose violence, and that choice might cost him the rest of his life. Gucci Mane responds, and the hip-hop community reacts. While the legal case was taking place, Gucci Mane responded in his own way through music. On April 10th, 2026, just days after Pooh Shiesty was denied bond, Gucci released a diss track called Crash Dummy. In the song, he made it clear that despite everything, Pooh was still signed to him. The track was direct and harsh. Gucci compared the situation to Birdman and his long contract dispute with Lil Wayne, suggesting he had the same control. The message was simple: no matter what happened, the contract still stood. Fans quickly reacted and opinions were split. Some supported Gucci, saying he had every right to respond after feeling betrayed. He had invested in Pooh, helped build his career, and gave him opportunities when no one else did. From this view, Gucci was just standing his ground. Others felt the diss track was unnecessary. Pooh Shiesty was already in jail, facing serious charges and possibly life in prison. Releasing a song mocking him seemed harsh and poorly timed. The situation also sparked a bigger debate in hip-hop. Some people argued that unfair record deals are a real problem, especially for young artists who don't fully understand contracts. From that perspective, Pooh's frustration made sense, even if his alleged actions did not. On the other side, many said nothing justifies violence. Contract issues can be handled through lawyers and legal channels, not force. In the end, the situation became a clear example of what can go wrong when personal emotions, street mentality, and business collide. It also served as a warning: talent and success can disappear quickly when decisions are driven by anger instead of strategy. As of April 2026, Pooh Shiesty is in jail in Texas, waiting for trial on federal kidnapping and armed robbery charges. If found guilty, he could face life in prison. For someone just 26 years old, his future now looks very uncertain. The case is still in early stages. Both sides are reviewing evidence and preparing arguments. Prosecutors say they have strong proof, including surveillance footage, witness statements, and ankle monitor data, placing him at the scene. His legal team will try to challenge this evidence and may push for a plea deal to reduce his sentence. For Gucci Mane, the situation is deeply personal. He helped build Pooh Shiesty's career, but now he is allegedly the victim in this case. Their relationship appears completely broken, and there are no signs of support from his side. This case also highlights bigger issues in the music industry, especially around contracts and how young artists are paid. But those discussions won't change Pooh Shiesty's situation right now. What makes this story tragic is how avoidable it may have been. Legal options were available to handle the contract dispute. Instead, prosecutors say he chose a path that could cost him everything: his career, his freedom, and his future. If this story hit you, let it be a reminder: talent can take you far, but decisions decide how long you stay there. The Pooh Shiesty situation is still unfolding, and we'll be watching closely as more details come out. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you on? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep explorations like this.